down? It's DJ Ash Noble here. Welcome back to another stream. I know what you're probably thinking by the title. What a gig announcement on the same night as the gig. Like this very rarely happens. As a matter of fact, I think it's maybe happened like once, if not twice, and that is like literally about it. So we've got a quick little gig aftermath to get out of the way, and then we're on to a new booking announcement, a new gig announcement. So we'll start with the aftermath. So for those who don't know, I was in Cleethorpes tonight playing for a hardcore event, and they had none other than Mike Reverie headlining. And the event that I gigged at was just sadly it was just empty. There was nobody there, and no one was coming out. And I'd got on a lift with another guy from Hull who was playing on the lineup, and just essentially there was just nothing, and he had to be up for work at like 5 a.m., so he didn't want to have a late one anyway, and it was just pointless. It was just pointless sticking around. It was just you know empty. There was nothing, and this is not me like by any means. Like, I don't like to come online and like shame promoters, and or like say anything bad about things. And there was nothing bad about the event itself. There was just nobody there. Like, you just really wasn't really playing to what much of a crowd. And I enjoyed my set. I had a good time behind the decks, but there was just lack of people. And I didn't get, like I say, I didn't stay long enough to see if the night in any way, shape or form sort of progressed. But you were just sort of sat around waiting for sort of like something to happen, really, like for like people to come in, and people to sort of like show their faces. And sadly they didn't. And I know there's an event sort of taking place tomorrow in Cleethorpes that has a little bit more excitement about it. So I think people were maybe just like saving themselves for that. But nevertheless, I enjoyed going there and playing my set, as I do enjoy playing sets. And for me, it's as playing a set wise, like, I just enjoy being behind the decks. It's about the passion and the music for me, not about putting a video online and saying, look, there was a massive crowd of people here. It's for me, it's just a passion of the music. I'll go anywhere and jump behind the decks, or jump on a mic, whether there's a crowd or whether there isn't a crowd. Because at the end of the day, you're booked to do something. And when you've been booked, and when you've taken a booking, which is like taking a job, kind of thing, like you commit, you committed to do it, in my opinion. And I just felt a little bit like you know the like some people that they get a little bit like, oh, I ain't gonna play this because it's dead, or that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you booked, and you just if you're at home, there's not gonna be a crowd there. So like, why should it matter? Like, just be being in a different room and sort of just feeling like you're at home. So if anything, I used it more as just I guess like the time to practice, to just have a little bit of a play around, and do things within the set that I maybe wouldn't maybe try and do if there was a crowd there. So it was just for me, it was still, it was like nothing was lost and nothing was wasted, because I just had that little bit of practice time on some equipment that's better than the equipment I own at home, which if you don't know by now, my CDJs and 4-channel mixer, they're not in the best condition. And the mixer's very limited. It's got no effects on it. That mixer I bought off of eBay like ages ago it was just a no flop. It was no good. It just broke within about a month, like literally just powered off within about a month. You know, so I definitely need like some new sort of like decks. And the thing about like upgrading the decks for me is that like I know exactly what I want, but like they're just like well expensive to the point that I just can't afford them. They're like over $1,000 because I want something like the RX or like the XZ. Um, However, like apart from like sort of saying, look, you can't get that noble. It's way out of your like price range. The sort of like lower sort of like budget things for me is where I sort of have a little bit of a sort of like thinking a debate in my mind, because I'm thinking like I don't really want to go controller, because I don't like that idea of being like tied to the computer. And the thing about me is I do occasionally take like wedding gigs, and I do occasionally take like birthday parties. And I don't own a laptop. Everything I do is on a towered PC. So obviously having them controllers is just obviously like you know, you've got to take a laptop with you because they're not standalone. So then, if you buy one of them controllers, you've then got to think about, well, look, I've got to buy a laptop, as well, as well as getting the controller, which then just bumps the price up even more, to the point where you think, well, I could just get CDJs maybe. But then you sort of think, well, what CDJs do I want? Because then if I get like Pioneer CDJs, they can be quite costly, to the point where you think, if I'm going to spend that much on CDJs, then I'd be better off thinking like of just putting it towards like an RX or an XZ. So I think the moral of the story is, if you want something decent, like DJing equipment is not cheap. And especially if you're specific about what you want, like with me, like I don't want a laptop, because I don't know, I feel like I don't want to say it's cheating, because it's not cheating. And I did watch a video, a guy having a ramble about the sync button, and he did make a lot of sense, but I don't know. I just personally don't. It doesn't feel as real to me, like having a screen in front of me. Like I do it on my computer at home when I'm putting sets together, but apart from that, like I like to stand at like the decks, and I like to listen to the music without having a screen in front of me. And even like when I'm like on an RX or like an XZ, I don't tend to look at the screen, apart from like when I'm loading a track. Because that's just me. I get into like listening to the music, and I just get into the vibe of it. So I think that's it. But anyway, we'll move on. So it was an enjoyable gig, but I just didn't stay long, and it just wasn't busy. So that was literally the issue. So yeah, so gig announcement. So this one has been one that I've known about for a little while, and I've been sort of like wondering when the flyer is going to get released, and then we got told it was going to get released today at 7 p.m., and then it got released. So I'm quite looking forward to this one. Actually, I'm making my debut at an event that I've not played for yet, so it's nice to sort of like when you get booked to like do something new, or to go somewhere where you've not played yet before. So and the good thing about this is it's another local booking as well. So it's again, it's somewhere that's just a walking distance from my house. It's in Hull itself, so that is an exciting feeling upon itself. So I'm delighted to announce to all you people that I am making my debut with the Humber Vibe crew. So Humber Vibe, they launched their event a couple of years ago. So they launched. They did like a first event, and it was kind of like a live streamy event, and then they opened it up and let a few people in. And I went to it, but I had another gig somewhere else, so I only stayed for like a for like a short while, and then I just sort of left and devoted and went on to do Bounce to Your Drop, as it happens, on the 18th of September. So that's when they launched, and since then they've got since then they've gone from strength to strength. They've moved venue to a place called Kings, and they've had like the legends, including Psy. They've had like Andy Freestyle. They've had like Top Groove and many other DJs to mention, and they've got none other than Billy Daniel Bunter for this one. So this kind of ticks off a box list for me, because I was supposed to gig with him, and some of you guys won't remember, but I got booked for Dukin's event. I can't Bonanza last year, and the trains were striking, and there was no way I could get there, and no one else could help me get there at the time, which was real gutting. And I always go through this, like I mean, I should learn to drive really, but like if certain things can't happen, like I'm screwed for a gig. Like, because I don't drive, so like if for example, if Layman can't take me, that's already a big bummer up in itself, because then I've got to think about like hotels. So like, do I have somewhere? Do I have to stay somewhere? How am I gonna get there? How am I gonna get back? And sometimes like it ends up being costly, and people don't realize how much like that actually adds up. Like, and even if you do get like even if you do get paid for a gig, like that can add up like drastically still, to the point where yeah, you'll still get something for the gig, but like a lot of it goes on like travel and hotel, because travel and hotel, like everything, has gone up. It's not expensive, it's not cheap. You can spend like well over 100 quid just for a hotel. And if you can get a hotel like round the 70 quid mark, like for the Bounce to Infinity to Stoke-on-Trent, I think 72 quid it cost me for the hotel. And then the train itself was like 50 quid. And people like they don't realize like how much that adds up, like how much it adds up. And this is why like I stress not to like DJs that you should be charging, because although you still might not get a great deal like out of it after you've like sort of like like got the hotel and paid for the travel. But imagine like you're one of them DJs and you're not asking for anything, and then you're laying out like sort of like 72 quid, and then for a hotel, and then 50 quid for a train, and then even stuff like you're traveling down and you get thirsty and you buy a drink at the train station. We all know that getting a bottle of Coke at the train station is a lot more dearer than, say, walking into your supermarket and picking it up. And then while you're there, you're gonna get something to eat. You're gonna get drinks while you're there, and people that play for free, like it adds up, and you're paying all that like to play for an hour or 45 minutes, or some events you even only play for half an hour, believe it or not. And this is why I stress to DJs that you should honestly like charge, like that there's nothing wrong in like doing discounts and deals for friends. And if you like playing somewhere local, like in your hometown or something, then yeah, by all means, you can work around it and do deals. But if you're gonna travel like a good fair few miles, you need to be asking for something. And like I say, I don't drive myself. Some people will drive, and some people will do the event and drive back. And I'll do that like if I'm with the layman. But the thing about the layman and myself is we're both growing, and we're both doing our own things, and we don't always get booked at the same events. Like, because we both get booked quite a lot, and sometimes he's already booked when I get booked on that date. So like he instantly can't come with me. Or sometimes like he's able to come with me, and then he gets a booking that comes in, and obviously that's a paid booking for him. So I don't obviously expect him to turn a booking down just so he can show for me, or obviously, to an event. And like I say, when you don't drive, you then rely on the public transport, and sometimes like things don't always go wrong. Sort of like that's your fault. Sometimes trains can strike. Sometimes train services aren't running on that day for whatever reason, or anything can happen. As daft as it sounds, like you've got to think about all these things that you wouldn't normally think about. What if they do happen? You can book a train, but what, like I've booked trains before, and there's actually been an issue where a train barrier won't come down and a service has been cancelled just because a train barrier won't come down. And sometimes, like if you're traveling, like me traveling to Stoke, I've got to change trains twice. So I could say get to Hull and then the train's cancelled because a barrier gets down. All fine and dandy, jump on the next train, but then you miss that second train that you meant to jump on. You get to Leeds and you're meant to get on a train at 2:20, and because you've missed that first service to get to Leeds, you miss the one at 2:20. And people don't think and realise of all these little things that they might not seem like, oh yeah, when's that ever going to happen? But the moral of the story and the truth of it is they do happen. Things like that can happen. So, I think no matter what, like, and you should value yourself anyway. If you don't value yourself as an artist, like, what are you doing all this for? Do you know what I mean? Like, and people don't charge. But then on the other hand, people don't realize how hard it is to charge as well. Like you think it's just as easy as telling somebody that I'm 200 quid, and then it's just as oh yeah, your bookings will come flying in. If anything, you'll actually lose bookings through being charged, believe it or not. And people say to me all the time, like, you need to start asking for this and you need to start asking for that. And believe you and me, I asked loads of promoters, is this a paid booking? Like, because I do ask for payment, and they're like, oh no, we're short on the budget of this one, or you tell a promoter a budget, and they'll scrap you, and they don't want you. And the moral of the story is, like, there's me and Hull, Bounce DJ can absolutely smash in mixes, and I'll charge, and I'll say, look, give us 100 quid to play a set. That's what I am. And then there's somebody who is in sense just as good as me, who is absolutely smashing it at the moment, and they'll play for free. So you're a promoter. You're trying to put a banging event on. You need a warm up DJ. You've got all your headlines sorted. You've paid absolutely, a lot of money out for these headliners. Like Andy Whitby is like 2.5 grand. Or something like that for a club set. So you've got to pay Andy Whitby that just to come and play a set. And then and then you've got like your sort of like warm up headliners. So people like people, for example, like John Neal and Cheese, who aren't going to cost as much as Andy Whitby, but they're still going to cost, and it's all going to add up onto the event. And then you get to the people like myself who warms up for all them people. And if they can get somebody for free as opposed to somebody who's going to charge them, it's a no-brainer that they're going to get someone for free. So someone who's alternatively advertising themselves for free, who can just do the same thing as someone that's just quoted them 100 quid. You're going to go for somebody who's going to do it for free because it makes sense. And you see this person who's doing it for free. You see them all over the place because they're free. It's not costing the promoter. So yeah, they'll have them on the lineup because it's not costing them anything. So this person's going around getting the name out, getting all these bookings because they're doing absolutely brilliant. And then there's someone like me, who I don't gig absolutely all the time. I don't do bad, but the ones I do, I'm getting something out of it. But this is why I'm not like doing something every single weekend, because I'm not doing it for nothing. Do you know what I mean? But it's the people that are doing it for nothing that are getting the advantage, which is like a really crazy thing to think about. It's a crazy analogy, but it's kind of just the way it works. It's the way the whole sort of like music scene is. Now I can understand from a promoter's point of view, like when you've just shelled out like sometimes nearly 3-4 grand plus on an event, and then you've got the chance to just get that one final DJ, and it's not going to cost you anything. When you've just paid so much already, like to an event that you might not even break even on, depending if the tickets don't sell well, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like take tonight for example in Cleethorpes. The headliners and stuff have come on, and they paid out for the event, and they paid for flyers to be printed, and all the door staff and the bar staff have to be paid, and the event's not done well, and there was hardly really anybody there. So do you know what I mean? Like you can really understand it in that sense, but people who do sort of like play for free, like, need to start thinking, right, I'm actually working here, I'm actually showing a talent here, I've got a skill, and I'm actually getting well liked up in the scene. I should be getting something out of this. But I think a lot of it is like artists, they don't know when to ask, and they feel a little bit like, I shouldn't be asking, when alternatively you shouldn't. I don't think some artists like know how to ask, because I felt the same. Like there was a point where I would have thought like, well, like I can't ask, like it doesn't feel right to ask, because I didn't know how to ask or when to ask, and it was actually the layman that said like, look, just say it like this. And sometimes if you break it down and tell them why you're charging the amount that you're charging, they'll see it in smaller figures, rather than just thinking like, ooh, 100 quid, that's a lot of money. But if you tell them like, I don't know, like it's going to cost me so much in fuel, blah blah blah, and then it's going to cost me this, and then they'll think, actually, yeah, I can understand that, and then all of a sudden that big figure doesn't seem like so big to them, and then they might obviously sort of like pay it. But we got sidetracked. So I've been booked for the Umber Vibe anyway, and like I said, the trains were striking when I was booked for Bonanza, so I didn't get chance to gig with Billy Bunter, which was a real shame. But now it's almost like the universe has given me that second chance, and I'm warming up for him at Humber Vibe. I'm B2B with Prime. So I'm excited to like see how that goes, because I've gone B2B with him before at like when we've had a mix at home and stuff, and I'm sure we'll do something together just for the night, and stuff like that. So it'll be definitely enjoyable in that sense. And it's just over 2 months away, so there's plenty of time, but there's a lot going on, sort of like up until that 2 months, with your gigs for me and my family holiday. Which if you don't know about the family holiday, I was strictly told late last year that there was going to there was going to be a family holiday in August this year, and I wasn't to take any bookings. I was to make sure that I was free that weekend. I was to make sure to book it off work, and you know how the story goes. I was literally told, don't take anything on that week, and I had to keep it free for going on this holiday. And the holiday's coming up in a couple of in about I think in about sort of like 7 weeks or something like that. Which is crazy, like 7 6 weeks or something like that. And yeah, I was I mean, in all honesty, like I ain't gonna say I'm not looking forward to going, because I am looking forward to going. It's just the timing, like of like when we're actually going, because like sort of like from now sort of up until like August September is when like all the big festivals take place. And like I saying like for definite, but like I could get like a massive festival opportunity that lands on that weekend. And just knowing the fact that I'd have to say no would be like a real like gutting shame for me, because like that chance to play a big festival would be like, it'd obviously be like an amazing thing, but also it's just a fact of like missing them as well. Like, even like just to go as a raver, like there's so many things, and I've already missed a few good ones this year as well. And like we go on holiday around this time, but for specific reasons, because there's like motorbike racing and stuff on, but it's always round the time that there's like festivals on. Do you know what I mean? And I have to like to sort of like say I can't go to these festivals, and it happens all the time. Like there was one that I kept a while back. I kept wanting to go to. I think it was Retro on the beach, and it was like Clubland on the beach, and then there was like Creamfields, and there was all like taking place around the time that we went. That we was going on the holidays, and we went on the holidays instead, and it was like, oh man, how gutting, you know. Like, because don't get me wrong, I love family holidays, but I feel like I'm getting to that age now where, like I just want to do my own things. The days of family holidays have sort of like come to an end for me. But this one was special because it's a wedding anniversary, so I was kind of told like, yeah, do it. And obviously like family does come first and all that. So I am looking forward to going. I just, like I say, I just wish, if it had been like even if it was like a couple of months later, or if it had been a couple of months earlier, like it wouldn't have been like such a bad thing, and then I could have had like sort of like all the sort of like summer to go to these festivals and stuff, as opposed to like having to miss them. But we got sidetracked again, so. Humber Vibe. I'm booked with Humber Vibe, like I say, B2B with Prime. We'll be playing a hardcore set, and I don't know how I feel about it. I kind of, part of me is like real tempted to like say, can we do a reverse bass set instead? But then I'm kind of thinking like, because I really want to play a reverse bass set. It's something I've been wanting to get into for a while. But then I feel like there's going to be other people on the lineup that will play a reverse bass set. That'll kind of like, like a big thing in in that sense. So I kind of feel like, yeah, we'll go with an hardcore set, but I don't want to be kind of known as just, like, oh, they're just going to warm up with a cheesy hardcore set and play the first set, which, I've got a good feeling that we will play, that we'll play the first set. Either that or we'll play the last set, I would imagine. That's just personally what I think. I mean, I'm not saying it's a complete definite, but like, I'm in that sort of like time frame at the moment where I play a lot of like sort of like first sets and last sets. Just sort of like getting your name out there kind of thing. Yeah, I played second set today, you know. But I haven't got to that point yet where I really sort of like play like a third set or like a fourth set of the night. Like I never seem to play like I never seem to play like the 10 or 11 o'clock slot. I always seem to either do like the sort of like 7 till 8, the 8 till 9, or like the 2 till 3 or the 3 till 4. Like, they're either like the first sets or the last sets, depending on what the events is, which I'm cool. I don't mind doing them. It's just that I feel ready in myself. Like, I feel like sometimes I plan these absolutely belting sets, and this is not, in any way, shape, or form to sound big headed, but sometimes I just don't feel like they suit like a warm up set. I feel like sometimes they're a little bit too powerful and energetic for a warm up set, and sometimes I feel like, some of the tunes are something that you should hear later on in a night. It's something that you would expect, like, not necessarily a headliner to play, but just someone to come in with that power and that energy, a little bit later on, kind of thing. So, but we'll see. You never know, and I'll be happy, like I say, with whatever time I do get given and stuff like that. But anyway, that is going to do it for this stream. We got very sidetracked. We got very rambled. I'm quite tired actually as well, and I know the phone was nagging at me for the low battery. So make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to share, and we'll see you next time. Boom.